Global Stars. Welcome to this Python full course part 6. And in this part 6 of this Python course, we are going to be understanding all about the control statements. When I talk about the control statements, I'm talking about the Python loops. So in this Python loops, we are going to be seeing about the for loop in Python, the while loop in Python to be able to understand. So now let's try to understand what these loops in Python is all about. The first thing we are going to be seeing is the for loop in Python. So the for loop. So the for loop executes a block of code repeatedly until a particular condition or of that particular statement is no longer valid. Means that until that condition of the statement that we have given is not valid, then it is going to stop. Otherwise, it's going to keep iterating to be able to execute that particular condition. And again, we are going to understand what is meant by looping through an iterable. So in Python, an iterable refers to anything that can be looped over, such as what, a string, a list, or a tuple. And we are going to be seeing that shortly. So guys, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Before we enter to start doing it practically for you to understand how this works, please keep a like in this video. If you're watching it for the first time, your first time stumbling on this channel, like the video. Comment, give a comment in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel and share with your friends, your brothers, your sisters, your colleagues, your family members, your classmates. Share, because let's be able to build this community and work together. Please remember to keep a like, click the thumbs up to like this video, and give me your own opinion in the comment section. Tell me how it is helping you, how you're practicing, and how is it going with you. I'll be glad to listen to you and to respond back to you. So without further ado, let's continue. So now, coming now, as we say, the first thing we are doing is a for loop. For us to be able to understand the for loop and work with it, this is what we are going to do. Now, I've just declared a list variable. There's a variable here which is called pets. That is a list. It's a list variable. We know the items in the list are kept. Remember we did when we studied about the list in Python, they are kept in a square bracket. So I'm declaring a particular variable here, which is a list variable I'm giving as pets. And inside here, the items I've given here are what they are. The pets. We have cats. The first one is cat. The second one is a dog. The third one is a rabbit. The fourth one is hamsters. So now what we want to do is that we want to be able to iterate this particular list. So I told you that you can do one loop. We can iterate. The various iteratable it can be a string, it can be a list, it can be a tuple. So we are going to see that. So how should I go about this to go with it? Let's say I'm going to use the for loop statement now. I say for, let's say, my pets. I'm just giving my pets in. And in is a keyword. The same way as for is a special keyword, in is also a keyword. In pets. The pets that we are having. And what is in pets? As we are having this pet, and what is it that we want to do here? And then I'm saying I'm printing. What am I printing? I'm printing my pets. I'm printing my pets. So what is it that this thing is going to do? Through. So the first time this program runs through, what happened? The for loop is going to do what? Assign the cats. That is the first thing it's going to assign, which is cats, to the variable my pets. To this variable that is my pet, is going to assign it to it. The statement now is going to print now this my pet, and when it prints this my pets that we are having here, what is it we are going to have? The first thing we are going to have there is cats. You get it? That is what the value, that's the first value is going to be cats. The second time the program loops again, it's going to loop through this particular list again. The second thing is going to pick up is these dogs. And it is going to do what? And it is going to assign the value dogs to this my pet again. You get it? In this particular pet, it is going to pick the second one when it iterates there. And it is going to go through. So the program is going to continue until it will assign everything. And when it reaches the last value inside this particular string, when the end of it has reached this particular list, when it has reached the end of this list, then it is going to stop. Means that it's no longer going to iterate, because now there's no more item inside the list. Now let's run this and you're going to see what I'm trying to say here. I'm just going to click on run. If you see, can you see the first time when it iterates to this phone, it iterates inside this list, it took the first item, which was cat, it assigned it to this my pets, because remember we are printing that my pets, that this my pets variable is the one that is holding this now. It iterates the second time, it prints now the dog now to this, assign this particular dogs to this my pets variable. The third time it iterates, it gives the rabbit to it. The fourth time it iterates, it gives the hamsters. But now when I iterate again, it will no longer have any value inside. So the loop is going to terminate. So now when I print this my pets, can you see we are now having all these items inside? Hope this is clear. Let's continue. So here is another scenario that we are having. So I'm just declaring a variable. This variable I've declared that is what it is, n1. This n1 variable is just holding a list. This is a list now with numbers, integer values. So now the other list we had was having the strings inside, isn't it? Now I'm having some values, random values. I'm having 10, 20, 45, 67. It can be ages, can be particular ages for some for students or anything, let's just assume. So now I want to be able to do what? I'm saying that what? I want for I in one. What am I saying? Using the for loop, what is it that it is going to do for us? Using this for loop, look at what is going to happen. For I in N1, what am I trying to say? I'm saying that what? It is going to iterate with the for loop means that I want to print all the items in this particular, I want to print all the items in this particular N1 list. Now, this for loop now, I'm given the variable. My variable I'm giving here is the I. So this for loop is going to iterate in this list. So it's going to iterate here all the iterable. So the first time it runs through this, it's going to encounter the first value, which is 10. And it's going to assign that 10 to this I value, this I variable. It can be anything. This variable can be anything. For example, I can just change this. Let me say num. Let me make it a little bit somehow you may be able to see, to understand. So it is going to do what? It's going to assign it to this num variable. Then when I iterate the second time, it is going to pick the second value, which is 20. And this 20 is going to assign it to this num variable. So it means that this num variable is already holding two values now. It's holding 10 and it's holding 20. The third time it iterates inside this particular list, it is going to now assign this 45 to this num variable. So the num variable is having three values now. It iterates the third time, it is going to go to it's going to pick the 67 and it's going to assign it to this num variable. Meaning that when we print now, when this print statement now runs, it is going to print this, means that this num variable now is holding 10, 20, 45, 67. And because the list, it has reached the end of the list, the loop is going to stop. Let's run this piece of code and see. Can you see? Now, you see, we are printing by this num variable. The num variable is holding 10, 20, 45, and 67. Let's walk. So now, this next example, we are going to be seeing how to loop through a string. For example, let's say I'm having a variable that is message. Let's say this variable is message. And what is I'm assigning to it? This particular, I'm assigning a string. Let's say the string is hello. I'm assigning the string hello to this particular message variable. So I'm saying for I in message for I in message, what does I want to do? And I'm saying print I. So for I in message, print I. So this I now is just a variable that I'm giving, is a counter variable that we are having here. So what happened? I'm saying that what this particular variable I've declared, which is message. This message is holding hello. That is what it is holding. I said for I in message, what am I saying? I said print I. What is happening? It has to iterate this particular message. Meaning, this for loop, it is going to iterate this particular message and assign the first time you encounter the first letter of this variable, of this string is each edge, you assign to, right? Variable. You encounter E till the end. And when it reaches O, it finishes with O, it breaks the loop now terminates, it ends. That is what is going to happen. Let's try to print this and see. So you see, this is it, hello, as it assigns it. You get it? So I hope this is clear. Let's continue. One thing that this loop statement, the looping in Python is very, very important is because it helps us to avoid typing the same thing over and over. You can just like give it at one shot, it's going to do it for us. That's why I say what control flow statement. You get it? For example, let's say I want to print this, I want to do this print, this particular statement. I want to print you are welcome. Let's say 10 times. I want to print it, you're welcome 10 times. It's going to be so tedious for me to be typing it 10 times that you're welcome. I have to type it maybe 3 times or 4 times or how many times I'm typing it repetitively. Then you are welcome, you are welcome, you're welcome. Which I can just give just in this looping statement. I can just declare this once in the loop, and the loop is going to print it as many times as possible how I want it to be able to print. That is one thing that is so important about looping, about loops. You get it? So if you want to, loops are very, very important to create repetition. You get it? This for loop is very, very important for creating repetition. And we can be able to work with this using a range. You get it? We can be able to work with this using a range, also be able to work to understand how it. So to be able to remove this, you can be able to remove this to shorten the code. We can use the for loop to be able to shorten this particular code to go with it. So instead of printing it as many times as possible, we can just reduce the code by using the for loop and then specify the number of times in which you want to print the same thing. Like you're welcome, you're welcome. Specify it. Just through that, then we are able to print it as simple as ABC. You get it? Okay. Now let's try to modify this and see how it works for us to be able to see how we can go with the code to write in that format that I want to give it. So I'm going to now give a for loop to be able to specify that this is how I want it to work. So for, I'm giving it now, so I'm passing it for num. So from numbers in, and one thing you understand, remember as I told you, the in and the for loop, for are special key characters. So in range, I'm going to give a range, a particular range that I want to print that particular message. The particular message or whatever you want to print, I'm given a range of it. I'm saying I want to print it, I'm given 5. This I'm given 5 there, and I'm printing the message I'm going to give there that I want to do. The same message that we had is the same message that I want to print. You get it? That is what I want to do now. So using the print statement, I'm going to give the same thing. You are welcome. So with this, I can achieve the same thing instead of writing the print message how many times. Let's run a piece of code and see. Can you see you are welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome? We have written it 5 times. So that is why I say the loop it helps us when we want to run a repetitive code, we want to do something repetitively, we want to do it many times. You get it? So we can be able to use the loop statement to do the same thing rather than writing it to make the code so long and so huge. You can use a loop statement and be able to fix it. Even in case I want to increase it, maybe I want to say how the number of times you want to go about that. If I run that, you see, I'm having it also the 15 times. Depend on what you want, rather than writing the same code over and over. So it makes it easy for us to be able to see, isn't it? So I just declared for numbers. So meaning that what that particular variable numbers is holding, you are welcome. Now, I'm just going to try to modify it now, by just adding some small expression here. I'm just going to modify it by adding a number. So you see with that, you can be able to see if I print it, I'm going to have the numbers there that we are having. It's going to give me with the numbers. So if you see now that what it is, I've given there as I put numbers, it is able to give me with the numbers because I've just added that on it to give me. So that's why you see from I've given it from 1 to 15. So when you look at it there, you're going to see that it's going to give us with the numberings there. The numberings there as I've added. And again, I can be able to add maybe like to modify it again and add an expression to it, to modify it a little bit and add an expression. So what is it I'm going to add? I'm just going to say plus 1. So if you see, it means that I'm starting now the counting from 1 instead of 0. Because if I just keep numbers, we know it starts from 0 to. But now that I've specified I want it to start from 1. So it's going to print and start from 1. So another thing we can see here is if for number in range, now we can be able to specify where we want the starting point and how it will end. If I say from 1 and then I say 3 means that it's going to print just twice, right? For us to be able to go with it like that. You see that this is a you are welcome, you are welcome. Because I've specified there the range that you start from 1 and then to 3 means that it should print twice. Isn't it? It is one less. We saw that when we're dealing with the other things. We're dealing with lists. We saw all these things I explained in the previous class. Then the next thing we are having here, we have, okay, this is another one to understand the break and the continuous statement. Now we want to understand what is the break and continuous statement that we can use in the for loop, in the loop. It can be any loop, for loop, or while loop. So now that we are still working with the for loop, let's continue to see how it goes with that. So now I'm having this piece of code. It says for val in vine, and I'm given a condition. I say if now the val encounter what an a, if it reaches the port of a, it should break that loop. Then it should print the val, meaning that what that val variable, because what happens is that it's going to iterate, the for loop is going to iterate into that particular string vine. So it's going to iterate, it assign the v to val as the first character. It iterate again the second time, it assign what I to val as the second character. It iterate the third time, it assign n. And then the fourth time that is going to encounter a. Once it encounter the a, what happens? Remember, there's a condition we have given there that once it encounter the a, it should do what? It should break the loop. And then we are printing a statement by saying we are printing the val, means the val variable. And then also we are printing another statement that is the end of the loop, means at the end. You get it? So as it iterates, it's going to iterate all through that particular string. And then when the condition meets where we have given the condition, it is going to break that particular loop. That is what is going to happen. So what we need to do is that let's just try to run this piece of code, and then I will see how it goes. If you see, by running this piece of code, if you look at it very well, it's going to have what you see VIN. Those are the only things that got, the only characters that got printed that were assigned to the val variable, because we gave a condition that once it encountered the A, it should break the loop. Break means the end of the loop. That is what happened. And automatically, as it reaches that, it breaks and it ended the loop. So you see, now we're using the control statement and the conditional statement, because you know about the if. We already saw the if in the previous class, and if you haven't watched that video, please go back and watch it, because we are in the part 6 of it. That is the part 5. We saw everything about the if. And also, if you haven't liked this particular video, please make sure you click a like in the comment section, subscribe to the channel, and also share to others. Share to others to understand. You can see what happened here. It has just printed all of those 3 characters, and the last print statement also is printed. So the next thing we are going to be seeing now is the continuous statement. So the continuous statement, we saw the break statement. We just need to change the break statement to the continuous statement. So what is it with this continuous statement? Look at the difference between the break statement and the continuous statement. Now, we are given a condition. The loop is going to iterate as usual, but when there is a condition, when it encounter A, it's saying that word, skip and continue. Can you see the difference? When it was a break statement, it was supposed to break and end the loop. But when it's a continuous statement, it's going to continue, skip A and continue. So look at it. So when we print now, you see it's printing the first character, the second character, the third character, and then it skip now the A, because that is where we said when it encounter A, it should do what? It should skip and then continue the loop. That is why it continues to print where the last character in that particular string that is called, that is why it went through to print it. So can you see the difference between the break statement and the continuous statement? These are 2 different things, and it happens in 2 different ways. So this is how we can be able to use the break statement and the continuous statement when we are dealing with a loop. Means that if we are working with loop, like the for loop, if there's anything we're using in the while loop, we're also going to see in the while loop, if there is anything you're working with, if you want to skip a particular thing, inside using the loop, you can be able to use the continuous statement. If you want to break the loop at a particular point, you can use the break statement. So this is how we can be able to do it, to achieve the break and continuous statement using the loop. So the next thing we are going to be seeing now is the while loop. So as we said, the next control flow statements we are going to look at is the while loop. So like the name suggests, a while loop repeatedly executes the instructions inside the loop while a condition remains valid. Once the condition remains valid, it continues to execute that particular instruction. And the structure of this while loop is as follows. We have the while the condition is true, then you execute the particular statements that are inside the loop. That is how it works. So this is an example of it. So we are having a small piece of code here. I'm having a variable I, and I'm assigning the initial value as 1. I say while I is less than 10, I want you to print the value of I, and also I is increment. So we are incrementing the I value, meaning that the first time it is going to iterate, the first value of the I is going to be 1. That variable I is going to be 1. The second time is going to have I plus 1, so it's going to print 2. The third time is going to iterate until 9 because we say I is less than 10. So if we print this piece of code, we are going to see that it's going to print from 1 to 9. That is how it is going to print. You get it? If we run this piece of code, it's going to print from 1 to 9 because it's going to iterate it. You get it? So as it iterate inside and the I value is incrementing, it keeps incrementing it from the previous value of I now becomes 2. When it becomes 2, you add 1, the same thing becomes 3, just like that. It keeps going until the condition on the Y is met. So let's run the code. You see, it gives us from 1 to 9. Now, for example, remember this is less than 10. If I say less than or equals to 10, then it should be able to print from 1 to 10. Can you see when we run the code, we are having that from 1 to 10. You get it? So depend on the condition that we have given. Whatever the condition we have given, then the statements are going to be printed as long as that condition remains true. It's going to print to that. Otherwise, it is not going to. So you see, this is the while loop. And the same thing that is going, even with the for loop, as I explained previously. So it's the same thing that is happening even with a while loop. Once the condition is true, the condition is met, then it is going to print. Then the statements are going to be executed based on how true the condition is. So the condition we are given in the while I is less than 10, that is a condition. Then you're going to print I, and inside there we are having what the value of I is incrementing. The next thing we are going to also be seeing now, another while loop we are seeing here, is a situation where we are asking the users to enter a particular number. For example, particular this in beginning of where you want that particular message to print, the condition to print, the particular statement to print. Now, in the previous one, we gave the initial value as 1. So now we are having, we say have a variable n that is having an input function that is assigned to it, and it's enter the value of n. Why the n is less than 10, we are saying print welcome, and the n is incremental, n plus 1 means that it's incrementing. So if we run this piece of code, it says enter the value of n. If I say I'm entering the value of n, if I give it as 1, automatically means it's going to start from 1 and print to 9. That is what is going to happen. So you specify wherever the beginning of it that you want it to, the initial value. Means the user is allowed to enter the initial value. Not that the initial value is just given to it as the previous one where we initialize the I value as 1. So now this one is going to, what it's going to do is that it's going to now ask the users to enter the value. They'll enter the initial value of what they want to, how they want it to go, how they want the control to go. And then it is going to flow from there. So let's say I'm given the initial value now. Let's say I'm taking the value. Let's say I'm taking 6. So if you say press enter, look at what is going to happen. It's going to print now from where? It's going to print now from 6 to what? To 9. So that is why you see from 6 to 10. So if you count, you're going to have 6, 7, 8, 9. Can you see? Because we have given that the initial value should start from the 6th position. So that is what happened. So depend on how, wherever you can manipulate it the way you want by giving the initial value based on your choice or whatever you're working on. So this is another scenario where we are having an I, we're initializing the value of the variable I, which is equals to 1, and then we say why the I is less than or equals to 10, print I, and then we say I is equals to I plus 1, means that the I is incrementing. And then we are given a condition and saying that now what we are doing is that we are trying to use the break statement also in the while loop. As we did in the for loop, we want to do in the while loop. Now look at how we use it. And I'm given a condition saying that even though I've given that the I value is less than or equals to 10, but I'm still passing another condition inside saying if I reaches the value 5, if I is equals to 5, break that loop. Because in normal circumstances, you'll be able to print the loop, you should be able to traverse, you should be able to iterate inside, traverse that particular condition till the condition is met. You're supposed to take it from 1 to 10. But now I've given another condition again inside saying if that particular value of I is equals to 5, then it should do what? It should break. Now look, if we run this piece of code, you see it's having 1 to 4 because we said if it reaches 5, it should break the loop, means that it's going to only give us from 1 to 4. That is what is going to happen. Means it's not going to print the others because this is the break statement we are using inside here. So this is how you can use the break statement with a while loop. You've seen how you can use it with a for loop, as I explained earlier. Now, how this is how you can also use it with a while loop, the break statement. So we are having another scenario here where we are going to be doing what? So this is it, guys. Thank you so much for going through to the end of this class, and look forward for the next class that is coming forward. Thank you, and see you in the next class. Remember to keep a like in this video, subscribe to this channel, and click on that notification bell once you subscribe, and choose all to get notified whenever we upload a new video. Thank you so much. See you in the part 7 of this Python full course. Bye bye.